What's up guys, this is Cody here. And today I'm going to be showing you a ton of different ways in order to conserve or extend your battery life on your iPhone device. Now, there's a lot of different features that you can enable or disable or turn off on your device that basically I'm going to be going through for this entire video, but there's actually a really easy way to double your battery life without changing anything. And that's literally just by spending a few extra dollars and buying an iPhone battery case. So I have a few of these and I'll list those in the description below for you guys. I even have a full review of the world's thinnest battery case if you guys want to check that out. But basically, you slide in your device and you have double the battery life. So if you want to continue to use your device the exact same way except get more battery life, then I definitely recommend picking up an iPhone battery case. And I'll put links in the description below, like I said, to a couple of iPhone battery cases that I really like and that I've heard great reviews of. Of course, if you don't like the look or feel of battery cases, then another option is just by picking up an external battery, which you can obviously charge on the go anywhere you are. And this one right here is a 20,000 milliamp hour battery, so depending on the size of your battery, this external battery is going to charge your device multiple times on a single charge. Again, I'll put links in the description below for you guys to check those out as well. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and dig deeper into the iPhone and let's see everything that we can do in order to extend that battery life. So pretty much everything that we're going to do here is going to be within the settings app. So if we go ahead and open that up, the very first thing that you could do, and very obvious choice, is to toggle on low power mode. So that's going to be right here in your battery section, and you can just toggle on low power mode right here. Now, like I said, you are going to lose several functionalities. So mail fetch, Hey Siri, background app refresh, automatic downloads, and some visual effects are reduced or disabled in low power mode. So this is basically going to give you a maximum of 4 hours of extra battery life if you have this toggled on. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it off for now, just for this video. Now, toggling on battery percentage isn't necessarily going to give you more battery or extend your battery, but it is going to allow you to see exactly how much battery you have left. That way you can more precisely manage that battery power that you have. So it doesn't really matter too much when your battery percentage is that high, but if we're talking about 40% and maybe like 29% when you're just guessing by looking at the battery icon, that's something that you probably want to keep in mind. Next, let's talk about display and brightness. So there's actually a few ways that you can manage this, and it's basically just going to depend on how you want to do it. So the first thing that you can do is just toggle off auto brightness. So if you do that, then obviously you can toggle down or slide down your brightness down to about 0.5% or a little lower than that, and that's obviously going to really affect your battery life depending on how bright you have your display. Now, obviously, this is going to be the best choice, just to toggle off auto brightness altogether and then put your device display pretty low in terms of brightness. But if you're one of those people that really needs that display brightness really high, then I would definitely recommend toggling on auto brightness because that's really going to manage it a whole lot better. But again, the best way to do this is toggling this off and leaving the brightness low. Also, when you're choosing a wallpaper, definitely choose a still wallpaper rather than a dynamic or a live wallpaper. This is obviously going to conserve your battery life much more because there's not any moving parts on your wallpaper if it's a still. Now, if we hop into privacy here, this is going to give you some visibility as to what applications are using your location services. So you can see right here, this is basically a newly restored device, so I don't have a ton of stuff using my location here, but you can go in here and you can basically toggle this off completely for specific applications in order to save or conserve that battery power, because location services definitely use a lot of battery. Of course, aside from just basically manually going through each application and disabling those particular ones, you can completely toggle it off if you really don't have a use for it at that particular moment, and that's going to obviously save quite a bit of battery life. Now, back here at privacy, if we go ahead and go down here to motion and fitness, you can see that we have fitness tracking. So of course, this is going to be using the motion coprocessor in the background in order to track everything in terms of your health app and all that good stuff. So if you don't want it to do that, then just toggle that off right there. Again, that's going to save some battery life. Also, at the very bottom of privacy, you'll see diagnostics and usage. So if you tap on that, you can obviously don't send diagnostics and usage to Apple. So you just have this toggled on right here rather than automatically send. Bumping back out here to privacy, you can see right here at advertising, you would want to toggle on limit ad tracking. So this is a feature that basically is going to tailor ads specifically for you. But if you toggle this off, of course, that's going to reduce that battery consumption. Next, we have iCloud. So if we tap on that, this is basically all the things that are going to sync to your iCloud. So of course you can go through here and toggle off whatever you don't want to sync to the iCloud. Obviously, the more that you disable, the more that it's going to conserve that battery life and the less data that's being transferred over that network. Also down here at the bottom of the iCloud, you can see there's a Share My Location feature, which you can toggle on right here, and you can actually toggle off Share My Location with friends and family in Messages and Find My Friends. Of course, if you already turned off completely location services, then this should be disabled, but if not, this is another place that you can toggle off that location service. Now these next two features I leave on completely, even if I am trying to conserve battery life, which is my iCloud keychain, which probably isn't going to use that much data anyways, but also here for Find My iPhone. Of course, this is going to be very, very helpful if you actually lose your iPhone. So this is one that I don't recommend toggling off. Again, if you do, then it is going to save you a very small amount of battery life. Let's continue to work our way down here. So we'll see iTunes and App Store. So you have automatic downloads right here. So you can see basically everything that I have toggled off. You can also toggle off automatic updates here. So this is basically going to use less of that network, which obviously is going to save that battery life. You'll also see right down here that you can toggle on to use cellular data for network and automatic downloads. I would just go ahead and toggle that off, as well as the installed apps right here. So basically this is a toggle for those applications that will show up on your lock screen when you're in the presence or the close proximity of those applications. So for instance, if I was going up to a Starbucks, there would be a little icon right down here at the bottom left-hand corner that is the Starbucks app that I could just swipe up and access. Now, of course, that by itself is not going to save a whole lot of battery life. But then again, if you're looking for every little bit, then you can toggle that off as well. Now, if we go here into mail, contacts, and calendars, there's a couple of things that you can do here. So the more email accounts that you have assigned to your device, the more battery power that it's going to take in order to actually fetch that email. So if you don't need to have all those email addresses attached to your mail app, then I would definitely recommend getting rid of the ones that aren't necessary. Now the next thing is right down here at Fetch New Data. So if we tap on that, you can see this is a push. So new data will be pushed to your iPhone from the server when possible. So of course, if you toggle this off, that means that you're going to actually have to open up your mail app in order to refresh your mailbox. So instead of actually getting notifications showing you when mail shows up, when it shows up, like I said, you're going to have to actually open up that app in order to refresh it. So here, same thing for the iCloud. You can do fetch or manual. And this is how you're going to set it up for specific email addresses. Same thing for the holiday calendar. You can set this up for fetch or manual. And then what you want to do right down here is you can see how often it's going to fetch it, or if you want it to be manual, which you can toggle on right there. So just to be clear, push is basically it's going to automatically update every single time that you get an email. And then fetch is going to update every single time, every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or hourly, depending on what you select here. And of course, manually, you have to actually open up the application in order to fetch that new data. As we continue to scroll down here, you'll see for news, I actually don't use the news app, so I would toggle off background app refresh, and I would not want to use cellular data just because that's an application that I don't even use, so I don't want it to do anything other than nothing here on my device. Again, coming back here and we go into HomeKit, this is another application that I just don't use. So if you don't use this application, go ahead and toggle off Use iCloud here. We also have music here. So if we tap on that, you'll see right down here that we have playback options. So for the EQ, if you don't want to use that, the easiest way is just to toggle that off. That's going to save some battery life. Same thing for the volume. So for instance, this is just a regular tip. Just don't turn up the volume louder than you need it to be, because using that volume is going to use more battery. So you can actually put basically a governor or a volume limit right here. So if you actually slide this down to whatever position that you want to, when you turn up the volume all the way, it's actually only going to go to that level of volume. So it's basically just limiting the maximum volume level right here. Of course, the less data that you're pushing and pulling and fetching here is going to save battery life. So here in Photos and Camera, if you toggle off My Photo Stream, you can delete that if you want to, or you can actually come down here in iCloud Photo Sharing, which will obviously delete all those photos in that album as well. So of course, like I said, you're going to want to pick and choose what you toggle on and off here, just because you don't want to necessarily lose all functionality of your device. You just want to stop using unnecessary features that you don't use whatsoever that are consuming that battery. So for instance, this is one that I would actually keep toggled on my device. Another pretty obvious one, if you're actually not having to use your device and you just want to kind of conserve your battery life, then you can just toggle on airplane mode. Now this is going to be for those instances that you actually need your device on, but you don't necessarily need any network and you're actually doing other things on your device. So this is obviously going to basically cut you off completely from the internet, so you can't use anything network-wise, but it's definitely going to conserve that battery life. Now, if you know for a fact that you're not going to need to use your device for a particular amount of time, rather than toggling on airplane mode, I would just turn off your device. That's going to save the most battery life if, for instance, you're not going to be using it for a couple hours or so. Now let's jump down to this section right here, to the notifications, control center, and do not disturb. So if we open up the notifications, you can see that I basically have all notifications turned on for all the applications that I have on this device. Of course, you're going to want to go through here and manually select which applications you have here and which ones you actually want notifications from. Of course, you're going to want to get rid of all the applications that you don't want notifications from, because those are the applications that you're going to be consuming that unnecessary battery life. So for instance, tips, I do not need anything from this application, so I'm going to disable notifications altogether. Also, getting notifications obviously is going to use battery, so if you want to turn on do not disturb, then you can do so right here, or you can just do it from the control center just by toggling on right there. Now for me, when I'm turning on do not disturb, I don't ever want to be disturbed. So by default, you can see right down here that it's actually toggled on to only while iPhone is locked. So if you want to turn it on always, so that means I'm not going to get notifications even when my device is unlocked, then you can toggle it on right here, which is what I always do. Now here in the control center, if we go ahead and swipe that up, there's a couple of things you can do right here. So if you know for a fact that you're not going to be anywhere near Wi-Fi for an extended amount of time, then I would just toggle off Wi-Fi right here. That way that your device is not looking for Wi-Fi at any point in time. Now, of course, once you get back to probably your house or anywhere that you know that you normally connect to Wi-Fi, then just toggle that back on, because Wi-Fi is actually going to use less battery power than your LTE signal. So again, on the flip side, when Wi-Fi is available, you want to have Wi-Fi turned on. Same thing for Bluetooth. If you don't use Bluetooth, just go ahead and toggle that off right there. Also down here for AirDrop, you want to make sure that this is turned off when you're not using it. That way, it's not searching for any devices in the background right there. Back here in the settings, if we go into General and we swipe down here to Auto-Lock, make sure that this is toggled on to 30 seconds. Of course, this is going to be how often or how quickly that your device starts to dim and lock itself. Now right above that, we have background app refresh. Now we did some manual toggle offs of the background app refresh, but you can see right here that you can toggle it off for every application right here. Of course, you can do so right here by going through manually and doing it. But of course, if you want to toggle off all of them, then you can do so with that one switch right there. Still here in general, if we go into Siri, if you don't use Siri, then I would definitely recommend toggling it off altogether. Now, if you don't use Hey Siri, then you can toggle that off right there, so it's not always listening for you to say Hey Siri. Same thing here for Spotlight search. If we go into this, you can toggle off Siri suggestions right here. Also, if you want to speed up your Spotlight search as well as conserve a little bit of battery, then you can toggle off what you want the Spotlight to actually search through in order to get those specific results that you're looking for. So for instance, if you don't ever want to look through Game Center, which you probably never do, then you can toggle that off right there. If you don't want to search through Health, if you don't want to search through Bing or Find Friends, basically you just want to go through here and toggle off everything that you don't want Spotlight to search through. And also right here, we have handoff and suggested apps. So if you don't actually have a Mac, then this is probably not something that you need anyway. So you can just toggle this off completely. That way you're not actually using this particular service when you're actually not getting any type of functionality out of it. Also, this is what we toggled off earlier. This is the installed app. So just make sure that that's toggled off if you don't want to get those recommendations there on your lock screen based on proximity. Now here in the sound settings, if we go ahead and tap on that, I get a lot of notifications. So I use Do Not Disturb a lot, but I also need my device on and Do Not Disturb turned off during work hours. So for instance, I get a lot of notifications and it vibrates every single time. So if I wanted to, I could toggle off vibration, and that's going to conserve some battery power right there. You can also turn off vibrate on ring. Now if we go here into general and we go down here to accessibility, there's a few things you can mess with right here. Now a lot of people think that the grayscale actually preserves battery, but it really doesn't. It doesn't make everything black and white and save battery power. It's basically just putting an overlay that gets rid of the color. So it doesn't actually save any type of battery life. So just keep that in mind. Now as we go down through here, there's a few things you can do. You go into increase contrast, which will allow you to reduce transparency. So we can toggle that off. Also right down here for reduce motion, you can toggle that on, which is basically going to get rid of a lot of those motions or animations that you usually see throughout the UI, including opening and closing applications, as well as the parallax effect. Now, if you want to turn off vibration altogether, you can just tap on right here and toggle that off. Now let's hop out of settings here for a second and let's talk about some applications that you shouldn't be using if you're really low on battery. So you shouldn't be playing games because games are definitely battery hogs. So you want to stay away from those when you're low on battery. Another one is Snapchat. Snapchat uses the camera and it is crazily hungry for that battery. So you just want to stay away from Snapchat if you're low. Now really you don't want to use the camera app either because that's going to use a lot of battery. Basically any app that uses the camera for that matter, you want to stay away from. Same thing goes for YouTube. You don't want to watch YouTube if you're low on battery or anything that basically plays video because that's just demanding a lot of juice. Now when you're not using your device, you want to go ahead and put it face down because if you get notifications, every single time you get a notification, it's actually going to brighten up your screen and light up your display. So if you put your device face down, it actually knows your device is face down and it's not going to light up the display and in turn, not going to use that battery power. Now another app that I would basically stay away from completely, one because it's a battery hog, second because I just don't like the service at all, it's Facebook. So there were actually claims earlier this year that deleting Facebook from your iOS device could actually save you up to 15% of your battery life. And I'm pretty sure that the battery life percentage was even more on Android devices. Now I don't actually know if they've optimized the Facebook app, but that's just something that I would stay away from, or one that I stay away from completely just for my own sanity. Now another thing you want to keep in mind that I don't actually have on this device, but I do on this one, is you want to toggle off your personal hotspot because that is definitely going to use a lot of your battery. So if you want to toggle that off, you just toggle it off right there and you'll be good to go. Now if you're still having battery issues even after you've done all of these different things, then one thing I would definitely recommend, and this is something that when you have like 12% battery life or 8% battery life, and then your device just completely turns off, that means you need to recalibrate your battery. So the way that you do that is basically allow your device completely die and the entire device is shut down, and then just plug in your device and allow it to charge up to 100% before you disconnect it. Alright guys, I hope this video helped you guys out in conserving some of that battery life. And if it did, make sure you hit that like button and be sure to share it with your friends. Alright guys, if you want to stay up to date with everything Apple, tech, jailbreak, and anything else that I want to cover, be sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video.